You bet. Well, I hope you can hear me now. I'm having a hard time hearing back to some extent, but we're going to give it a shot anyway.
So thank you all for joining us today. I'm really excited to have Brandy here with us. She's been at the Department of Labor for, is it the last 15 years, Brandy?
Almost 16 now, yeah.
Wow. And Brandy is also a member of our technical advisory committee at the Center for New Direction. So she's been just a wonderful resource for us and students at the College of Technology. So we're really excited to have her here today. And again, if you want to send your name and email address to me privately in the chat, I will make sure you get your College of Technology swag.
Right. Can you guys see my screen?
I am not seeing your screen.
Okay, let's see. I click to share and it's not, it's just kind of sitting there. So try canceling and trying all over again. Maybe that'll work. There we go. Looks like it might be going now.
Yeah, I can see it. It looks great.
Perfect. So I'm going to talk to you guys today about the Department of Labor. I'm getting all excited and getting ahead of myself here. About the Department of Labor Services. We do a lot of different things. And so I'm going to just touch base on all of them so that you have an idea of how we might be able to serve you. First, we're going to start out with our employment services. And our employment services, we help many different people. We help job seekers. So we have what we call our labor exchange, which is Idaho Works. We do workshops, and right now with COVID, we're doing those virtually, but we do resume workshops. We do hiring events. We have a virtual hiring event platform that we use that when employers are looking for candidates, they can list with us and even communicate with potential job seekers over virtual sessions that they can actually reach out and talk to people. We still do resumes, mock interviews. We have a new program called Big Interview. It's a good way for people who are looking for work to prepare. You can record yourself in an interview, answering questions and get feedback to see how well you're doing. It will set up mock interviews based on the industry you're looking at. You can set up the questions however you'd like. There's just so many good things that it delivers in different parts of that program. And if anyone's interested in utilizing those, you can just contact us and we can get you a code to get in and set up an account. And it would be free to you. We do provide internet access. Right now, we do everything by appointment. Unless somebody needs to come into the office, we try to do what we can over phone and through email. But if someone were not to have computer access to JobSeek, we would set them up an appointment to come into the office and utilize our computers. We also have lots of different job search tools, templates, workbooks, pretty much anything you'll need. We do have a library of different books for job seeking as well. We also help employers. We do that by creating and posting job listings. We set up testing for them, again, hiring events. We provide them with apprenticeship information, and we do business outreach, specifically like rapid response, and that's for when like businesses are closing. We want to help respond and talk to their workforce to determine what might be out there for them, whether it be getting unemployment benefits, looking for work, applying for the WIOA program for workforce and training, or getting on with work opportunity tax credits. So there's lots of different ways that we help employers as well. If any of you have ever been on unemployment, you might have gotten picked to do a reemployment services and eligibility assessment. We call them RESEAs. And these are assessments we do to help an unemployment claimant and review their job search and provide additional help to get them back to work. Because a lot of times people don't know of all the different services we offer. Plus, they might not have had to look for work in a very long time. And this way we can help make sure that they are on track and know what's new out there and to provide any additional services that may help them. A lot of people at first come in and they're probably not as excited about it, but usually when they leave, they've learned a lot of new things, and we've been able to really help them get back to work, which is great. Oops, sorry. Again, I got a little excited. We're on my favorite topic. I supervise, and that's our WIOA program, and WIOA stands for Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. We help adults, dislocated workers, and youth. And some basic information about our program is that we provide services to help people become reemployed, and we target in-demand, high growth and in-demand industries. And the reason for that is we want to ensure that they're able to be self-sufficient and continue on working in the future. Our programs aren't a one-size-fits-all. Everybody is based on their own situation. You might have two individuals that have similar situations, but there's usually still some type of difference that they might have. So we want to make sure that we address the barriers and the different things each person has to make sure that they have a good experience and that they're able to meet the goal of becoming reemployed. Our program is not an entitlement program. It is based on individual need. And unfortunately, due to funding and eligibility, sometimes we're not always able to help somebody and they're not able to be selected. If someone's not able to be selected, part of our assessment process is to figure out if we can't help, who out there can help you. And we look at other resources in our community and partnerships we've developed to get people help still. So as I mentioned about funding, we have lots of different pots of money, and that's why we like to do assessments, because our different pots of money have different requirements and also different funding levels. We do have an out-of-school youth program, which goes from 16 to 24, and that's for anyone who is not attending school. And we can look at helping out with work experiences or helping with GEDs or just getting back to work or getting into secondary education, or excuse me, post-secondary education. Goodness. We also have an adult program. It's anyone we can help anyone get back to work, no matter the income level. Although for training, we do have to look at income level to see if that is something that we can help with. And we also look for anyone that has barriers. We have a dislocated worker funding pot, and that includes displaced homemakers. So basically anyone who's lost their job due to no fault of their own. It could be they were impacted by a layoff. Right now we're seeing quite a few people that have had layoffs due to COVID. Also, there are displaced homemakers, and those could be somebody who was supported by an income, and that income is no longer, and now they need to get back into the workforce. So specifically, maybe someone who was staying at home, they went through a divorce, or there was a death, whatever, and they're now on their own and need to start a career. We also have special grants, and that would be, right now we have a COVID grant. So if somebody has been affected by being laid off due to COVID or has been out of work for 27 weeks over the last year, we have temporary employment opportunities where we set up a site in the community for humanitarian efforts, and we actually pay the person to go to work on a temporary basis until they find work, which has been a really good program. Right now, we are helping out at the Veterans Home and at the health department, doing extra jobs that wouldn't have been around, but due to COVID, they need extra help to handle the needs that they have. So it's been a really cool grant. And then we also have what we call the Trade Act. And the Trade Act is when someone loses their job because the employment goes overseas or out of the country. And you might have known in our area, two of the big ones in the most recent past were Heinz and Simplot. And we were able to help a lot of those workers go back to school and different things due to that. So it's been pretty cool. Excuse me one second. Sorry, I'm in another office and someone had logged into the phone and someone was calling them. Each of these programs have separate funding, so there are those different eligibility requirements. So we'll talk a little bit about eligibility. And I always tell people, don't screen yourself out. Come to us and let's see and talk, because a lot of times by us talking and knowing the right questions to ask, we can help someone to really find out if they're eligible. So these basic 4 eligibility requirements are required for all our programs, and that's being an Idaho resident, being at least 16, complying with selective service requirements, and being U.S. work authorized. Other factors, and depending on the different program that you could be in, go by income, reason for being unemployed, loss of financial support, your current employment situation, if there are any barriers to employment, or if somebody is attending school, and barriers. Barriers don't screen people out. They actually can help screen you into our programs. And the reason being is we're trying to help the people that have the most need. So if people have barriers and it makes them harder, they definitely would need more help than somebody who is on track and doesn't need our help, and they could do it on their own. So barriers include being basic skills deficient, being a high school dropout, a single head of household, maybe pregnant or parenting youth, homeless or runaway or foster children, offenders, or somebody with a disability. So once somebody is approved for our program, they get different levels of service. Our first level of service is basic career services. The great thing about the basic career services are services that are free to anyone. So even if you're not selected for the program, these are services that we have at the Department of Labor. These kind of touch back on those for job seekers. We have self-registration of our labor exchange, so the Idaho Works, have orientation to any of the services we have. We provide internet access. We have copy and fax services. Resume templates, resume paper, labor market information. We have a veterans representative in our office. So if you're a veteran, we have veteran services. And if somebody's a veteran, they just need to identify themselves and you can get priority of service. We have workshops, we have hiring events, and then we have access for filing unemployment. And we'll get a little more into the detail on what that means about just having access to filing. So if you have been enrolled, probably going to skip along just a sec. My screen broke. Nope, here we go. If you get enrolled, we do what we call individualized career services. So that'd be like case management and planning for your goals and career choices. We look into assessments that you might need to see what barriers you might have, what might be appropriate employment goals depending on your situation. Sometimes if we need help with assessments, we may refer you to other partners for individualized assessments. We develop an employment plan to identify your goals and what services you're going to receive. We look into developing professional competencies such as communication, soft skills. We can help with group or individual counseling. We don't provide that, but we know places that do, and we can help you get into those things if that's something you need. We do internships or work experiences that are paid and linked to careers. We also can do out-of-area job search or relocation assistance. For instance, if somebody were to be fully trained and have the skills, that maybe there are not those job openings in our area, and so they need to move out of the area. Well, we could look at if they have a job offering it and they're not already getting relocation assistance, we can look at helping them get relocated. A lot of people come to us for training. I know we've been called before a scholarship. We're not a scholarship, but we do have to look at different ways before we determine training. The council, the Workforce Development Council, has set up a list for us to look at, and it determines based on the labor market information in our area what occupations are in demand. So we have to check to make sure the occupation is in demand. Are there other financial services? Most of our programs are not full ride. We can help pay a portion. So a lot of times we might work with another agency to see if there's other financial resources, or can the person support themselves while they're attending training? Like, we don't pay for like living expenses, those types of things. So someone would have to be able to still be able to successfully do training. Is the training short term? Our goal is to get people back to work as quickly as possible. The longer they're out of work, the harder it is to get back in the workforce. So we do have limits on training. There's training can be no more than 2 years. We try to do it less than that whenever possible. And then we have to make sure that the training provider is on our eligible training provider list. And that kind of goes back into the in-demand based on the council's recommendations. Then everyone who goes through our program gets employed. And I'd like to say everyone. Of course, we know not everyone, but if they work hard and that's their goal, everyone gets employed. And once they get employed, we do what we call follow-up. And for the next year, we're going to follow up and make sure that the participant's able to maintain and retain employment. And so we check in and just make sure everything's going well. The chance, if sometimes people start a job and maybe things aren't working out and they need additional job seeking skills or just help. And recommendations. Sometimes it's like, okay, this situation happened, who can I talk to? And it gives them a chance to talk it out and learn those skills of how to navigate through that job and ask the right questions, and be a learning experience too. If they're not happy, sometimes we're able to rectify that, and sometimes we're just able to help someone find another job and move on. So it's been really cool because when people participate in this part, because then they're able to maintain that employment, and then it helps us show the success of our program, which ensures us to continue to receive funding to help others. So a lot of times people will get employed and sometimes they don't follow back up with us. And it's a really important step in our process is that we have the information on employment. So again, the more we show we're doing well, and the more we can show that these programs are important, then we can get additional funding. So if people are interested, we have an application process. First, we have customers register in our Idaho Works, so our job seeking website. We run through all our programs through that site. And then we have a referral link where you can put in your name, your contact information, and what you're looking for. And then we have a career planner contact you to set up an assessment, or you can contact our office and I will set you up with a career planner. And then once you're assigned a career planner, like I said, they'll contact you for an assessment, just so we can see what the process is, or not see what the process is, see what your situation is and what you need to do for eligibility. I get a lot of referrals, and sometimes people don't call us when we call, so I always recommend making sure your voicemail setup gets cleared out, so in case you don't answer, we can leave you a message. And then knowing that if you contact us, we will be contacting you. So, and if you haven't heard from us after a week, please feel free to give me a call, because I don't want you to have to wait. I would rather make sure to find out where things got missed, or maybe you didn't receive the voicemail we left, whatever it be, so that we get you taken care of. As I mentioned before, we our department, I should say, handles unemployment insurance. Our local office does not. So if you come into the hotel office or any of the local offices where you can come inside, we don't handle unemployment. What we do is we have a computer. So if somebody didn't have a computer to file, they could come into our office and utilize a computer. Unfortunately, we don't have anyone who's trained in unemployment to help with unemployment questions, but we do have a phone number, and you can contact someone in the unemployment unit that can help answer those technical questions. So we're just a spot basically to utilize a computer. People can file from home. They can file on their phone. So there's lots of ways to file. This is what our claimant portal looks like. You have to have an email address. And then here's the phone number for unemployment. And I always tell people, if you're struggling at certain times, I know the phone lines do get busy, but the best thing to do is try first thing in the morning. If you are struggling, that's my tidbit of information. It seems like usually first thing in the morning, people have a higher chance of getting through. I'm not sure why, but it just seems to work out better that way. And as I mentioned before, we have veteran services. We do veterans preference. We can talk to you or our veterans rep about what you should know as a job seeker and you're a veteran, any special hiring authorities, and then any additional resources, which is nice because a lot of times I don't think everyone knows what benefits they have. So we can put you in contact with somebody who can. Vocational guidance is some of the things that we provide, career information on training and employment programs, and then we provide resource information. And Roberta Matulus is our veterans representative for Region 5, and Region 5 covers Pocatello, Blackfoot, American Falls, and then all the way down to the Utah border. So she's our veterans representative, and her extension is 3971. It looks like it's kind of small on the screen, so sorry about that. And if you're not aware of what Veterans Priority is, it's for us to show our appreciation for service. So we want to serve veterans first. Provides veterans and their eligible staff with priority access to Idaho Department of Labor offices to any program or service for workforce preparation, development, or training. And all you have to do is identify yourself as a veteran or an eligible spouse to receive that priority of service. We also have a really good program right now. It's a grant for incarcerated veterans. It's a transitional program, and it serves veterans who have been in jail for at least one day within the last 12 months. So if you've been in jail for at least one day in the last 12 months and you're a veteran and you're homeless or the risk of being homeless, and that could mean that you're living with somebody else because you don't have your own place. So it's a pretty lax view on the homeless part. They can help with classroom training, on-the-job training, occupational training, upgrading and retraining, apprenticeship, funds if you need help with clothing or boots or tools, transportation, childcare, vehicles, repairs, rent, It's a really great program. It is one of our harder programs to find someone who meets the qualifications. But again, if you feel like you or somebody you know might be eligible for this, you'll contact Roberta at, I think it was 3791, and she'll do the screening to find out and see what we can do to help. And if someone doesn't fit in that program, we also look to see what other programs you might be eligible for. All right. So as I mentioned, things are a little bit different due to COVID, and we do help with all our same services. But as I said before, we do it over phone and email whenever possible. We limit the number of in-person appointments just to keep low number of people coming in and out of the offices. But we can schedule in-person appointments for computer access. You just call our office, and we can set those up, and our phone number is on there. And you can also use the computer for filing unemployment. And if you do need additional unemployment help, there is the phone number, 208-332-8942 for help. And that's the technical help. A lot of times when someone's filling out a claim, they won't understand the question and would like help answering it. And unfortunately, unless you're trained in unemployment, we're not allowed to answer those, because we could, since we're not trained, tell you wrong, and we want to make sure that you get the most consistent information due to the laws and different things. So that's why we have you contact unemployment. All right, I know that was long and a lot of me talking, but I'd like to open it up for questions. Does anybody have any questions?
Brandy, I have a question.
Yeah.
So if we had a student that was entering a two-year associate's degree and they were having a hard time coming up with the tools that are required to enter that program, is that one of the things that you have assistance for?
Yes. That definitely could be something we could assist with. As long as they meet eligibility and we have the funding to do it, absolutely.
Awesome. And I noticed a couple people hopped on a little bit late, and I was just curious, could you please share with people how they would reach out to you or start that process?
Absolutely. You could reach out to me by calling our office number. It's 208-236-6710, and my extension is 3737. Or I have a link that you can go to, and I will send that information to Katie, because you'll have everyone's email address, right, Katie?
Yes, I will. And I can send that this afternoon to everybody who is in attendance today.
Perfect. So I'll also put my contact information. But yeah, if you fill out the link, you can put your contact information, and then we can contact you for an assessment to screen you for our program.
Awesome.
If you just want general job search help, you can also just call our office number. Like specifically, if you're trying to reset your job seeking account, you don't have to call me directly. Sometimes I'm not always available when people call, so I'd have to call you back. But if you just call the 236-6710, anyone in my office can help you, even if you just have questions about the program, or if you need help resetting your password or anything like that. That was a great question. Thank you. Anybody else? And don't hesitate. Like, I know when you start getting into personal situations, definitely you can call me one-on-one for that.
Brandy, over the years, there's been multiple times that Oh, I'm sorry. Was I over talking? I might have had
I
some
don't think
feedback. I apologize.
that.
I know there's been multiple times where, students have needed a little bit of help and they've been able to utilize the programs and assistance that you have. A few years ago, we had a student who accepted a position with a company that did not help with relocation. And he was worried that he would not be able to relocate and pay for those expenses up front. And we were able to connect them with you and the Department of Labor, and that really tremendously helped that student. And so we're just so thankful for you and the Department of Labor and all that you do for our students.
You bet. I appreciate the referrals because, we'd like to help as many people as we can. And like I said, if we can't help, we a lot of times know based on talking with someone what else is out there and can at least connect them with somebody else to see what they can get help for.
Well, thank you so much, Brandy. Again, I will be reaching out to all of our participants and passing on that information to you sometime this afternoon. We do have a brown bag lunch and learn on Tuesday, and our guest speaker is going to be Brooke Hurt. She's a counselor in the Center for New Directions, and she's going to be talking about addiction. And so that'll be a great opportunity to learn again. But Brandy, we thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And I look forward to talking to you all later. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.